5:42 a.m., Wednesday, October 1st. The air in the studio is cold because the heat cut out sometime after midnight. I can see my breath when I talk. Outside the windows there's no wind, no cars on Route 22, only that flat gray light before sunrise, and the far hum of a transformer that keeps trying to wake up and then dies again. My name is Owen Reddick. I'm broadcasting from a small community station in Albany, New York. The board still works when I feed the batteries in the rack and keep the generator on the back porch from choking. If you're hearing this on 5:30 a.m., or if you picked me up on the old emergency band at 162.475, then you're close. If you're farther out, it might drift. If you lose me, sweep the dial slow. I will circle back every 10 minutes until the fuel runs dry. The day started weeks ago, in a way. I keep thinking about the small things that felt wrong before the big things broke. 2 Fridays back, the NOAA weather radio made a sound I didn't know, like a clipped cough, then went quiet. The grocery store down on Delaware Avenue closed early because the card machines kept timing out, and a manager didn't want to fight in the checkout line. A friend at the TV station said their master control had these hitching pauses, like frames sticking, but the feed was clean. Then the emergency alerts started to roll in heavy and sloppy. First test tones at 3 a.m. with no message, then a scroll on local news that never appeared on the national feed, then a press conference that cut off after the governor took a breath to say, "We are." All of it small, all of it easy to brush away until Saturday, when the lights in half the neighborhood blinked and came back on with that sick orange glow, like a dying streetlight. If you were here, you saw it too. If you weren't, I can only tell you the color felt wrong. It felt like sunrise stuck in the wires. I've been on the air off and on since then because someone has to keep a human voice riding the static. The station phone works when the lines aren't flooded. The ham guys found me Monday night on the 2-meter repeater out toward Guilderland. They pass their traffic, and I write it down in a spiral notebook and read back what I can. If you're new, if you just found this by chance while scanning a dark room with a radio that still has some life, I'll tell you what I know and what I don't. There's been a failure that touches power, routing, and timekeeping systems. I know that sounds fancy. It's not. It means voltage doesn't hold steady. It means phones talk to towers that don't know the day. It means servers check in with clocks that have forgotten who they are. When the clocks forget, transactions die. And when transactions die, the supply chain stops like a truck hitting a wall. I am trying to use plain words. You don't need the diagrams. You only need to know there was a storm without rain that ran through the wires and left them confused. Here's my quick check-in on the hour marks. Con Edison is dark in parts of the city north of 125th, and the Brooklyn microgrid that the news like to brag about is only taking care of 2 hospitals, not the whole district like they promised in the feel-good videos. Out west, the feed from Buffalo stutters. The weather radar there shows a clear sky that keeps resetting to last night's loop every 9 minutes. Up north, Plattsburgh had a rumor of a convoy pushing fuel to the border crossing, but the hands I trust say it never moved. If you're on the thruway, get off. The signs show advisories from Monday. Some ramps are blocked by stalled cars with hoods up and windows fogged from people sleeping inside. If this is the first thing you're hearing today, drink a glass of water if you have it. Check on your neighbor, then come back to the radio. Initial incidents. People always want that clean start, the line in the sand when everything changed. I can give you the moments that made my gut twist. A week before the blackouts rolled across, I got an early morning text from a guy I used to work with at a lab in Niskayuna, a quiet guy, bright, never speaks unless he knows he's right. He sent me one line: GPS sync drifting at odd intervals. I didn't know what to do with it. Later that day, city buses downtown were 5 minutes early, then 8 minutes late, then right on time. They blamed traffic. A day later, Amtrak alerts shot out to everyone with tickets, saying the Empire service could be delayed due to upstream network issues. A woman named Lori, who manages a pharmacy in Colony, called the station and sounded scared in that way people hide behind jokes. She said the insulin delivery went in circles on the tracking page for 2 days, stuck in a processing state. Then the package showed up at 2 a.m. to a locked door, driver gone by the time she reached the parking lot. One more thing. Every evening, the city emergency feed posted a hurricane bulletin for a storm that didn't exist, out in the Atlantic, with a date stamp from last year. I don't know if that was a glitch or someone somewhere tapping a dead screen, but it was a sign. Someone had their hands on the wrong part of the machine. If you need a story, here's mine. I'm not a big voice. I'm a guy who learned to ride faders and keep music from clipping. I started filling the night shift when the college kids left town. When it began to slip, I said I'd come in for the morning slot, in case the station needed a steady hand. That Saturday, around supper time, the Shaw Bridge substation on the east side coughed smoke, and the sky turned that wrong orange. Streetlights along Madison flickered like they were trying to speak. A police cruiser crept past the station and then backed up slow, like the officer didn't want to be seen on that block. From my booth, I watched the traffic signal on Lark Street freeze on red in every direction, while the left turn arrows kept flashing. People stood in the crosswalk and stared like deer in a field. I tried to switch the feed to the governor's address. The screen froze on his mouth half open, eyes down. Some of you saw that same half word in your living room when your TV hung. I can still see it when I shut my eyes. It's funny what sticks. The body holds the small frames, signs of escalation. You don't need me to tell you what you already felt in your bones. Water pressure dropped on Sunday. By Monday morning, grocery store doors stayed locked, and the handwritten notes on the glass turned mean. Closed. Come back tomorrow became no power, no cards, cash only, which became nothing left. On Central Avenue, a woman cried into a dead phone under a bus shelter while her kid counted birds on the wire to stay calm. The school district robocall went out saying classes would be remote, but there was no remote because there was no net. UPS showed up at businesses with paper manifests and asked people to sign with a pen, like we jumped back 20 years overnight. Down at the hospital, generators ran and then ran hot. A nurse named Jamie sat on the curb out back and told me under her breath that the new wing's building management system kept switching to night mode and locking doors. She said you could put your hand on the glass and feel the cold air trapped inside. I don't know what it means, except that the building thought it was asleep at 2 in the afternoon. Machines are funny when they think they're napping. Government silence. I can't give you the speech we never heard. I can give you the empty space where it should be. FEMA put out a text blast with a link that didn't resolve. The state site kept serving cached press releases from July. A county sheriff I know called and said they were told to maintain calm and continue normal operations, which is the kind of tiered phrase they send when the floor is missing. He said his guys were burning through fuel fast because the radios kept rekeying to find a stable repeater. He also said, and I will not name him because he has to go back to work if there is work, that he'd been told to ignore calls about low-priority theft and resource disputes unless there was a weapon. He said to me, "Owen, I never thought we'd say we won't come for someone with a broken window." I could hear him light a cigarette, and he hasn't smoked in 10 years. Theories. hate theories. People build a house out of them and then move in, and it never lines up with the road. But we don't have a lot of facts we can hold, so I'm going to put the ones I trust in a row, and you can judge. A signal guy from an Air National Guard unit sent me a note on the back of a ration box, handwritten, carried by a friend on a bike. He said, "It's not a simple grid failure. The time codes are bad." He drew a little picture of a box in a box and labeled one GPS and the other NTP, and then he added, "If the time source lies, everything falls out of sync. It all looks fine until the bills don't clear and the pumps don't start." Another person I trust, a tech who helps wire up road sensors, told me he had a dashboard full of red lights in the state DOT office because the counters on the highway weren't reporting at the right intervals. He said you could set your watch by truck traffic, and then overnight the count went to 0, then 10,000 in a minute, then 0 again. A third person, an engineer down at a big chip plant in the Hudson Valley, said their cleanroom control went berserk and tried to correct air pressure to a value that would have popped seals. They shut it down by hand. He told me, "Something upstream is whispering lies to the control loops. If you're lost in the weeds, come back to me. Practical things. Keep the freezer closed as long as you can. If you have a gas stove and a way to light it, use a match, not a lighter with a dying spark. Turn off breakers you don't need. Never run a generator indoors. Point the exhaust away from a window. If a checkpoint stops you on a main road, keep both hands where they can see them and ask if there are alternate routes. If they ask where you're going, keep it simple. Home, 2 streets over. Don't argue. If you're in an apartment, fill the bathtub while your water still flows. You can use that for flushing. If you have a well, you already know what to do. If you have a neighbor who is older, go knock now, not later. If you have one good battery, put it in the radio and keep your phone off except for short bursts to find a tower. Phones. I know you've been fighting the bars. Verizon comes and goes. AT&T shows a ghost, 5G. But nothing moves. And T-Mobile swaps to SOS. The towers keep time from high above. And if that time is bent, the handshake falls apart. Some towers still work because someone on a rooftop insisted they would, but their clocks slip like loose belts. When your phone says 5:42 and the station clock says 5:28 and your watch says 5:35, trust the light outside more than any of them. It's sunrise now. The first bird just spoke on the wire behind the studio. I wish you could hear it cut through the silence in this block. It's a good sound. I want to let other voices in while the lines hold. I'm going to keep the calls short, so we don't lose power on a long story. I don't screen. If you have something that helps, speak it. If you only want to hear another person talk back, that's okay too. The phone says we've got a line blinking from Schenectady. I'm taking it. You're live. Name and street if you can. This is Adrian from Crane Street. I run a little corner store near the tracks. We've been dark since Sunday. I kept the doors open first day. People were nice at first. Then a guy pulled the handle on the fridge so hard he took it off. I didn't get mad. I said, "Take what you need." After dark last night, 3 cars came. They didn't say a word. They cleaned us out. They took the camera. They took the sign. This morning, I found the freezer still cold, so I'm boiling what's left. If anyone on Crane needs milk, it's warm, but it's yours. I'm going to cook it down so it keeps. Also, the tracks are blocked by 2 engines. I think someone parked them there on purpose. Adrian, thank you. If you're on Crane Street and you hear this, go knock on the door with the chalk sign, that used to say coffee $1. Bring a pot and stand with him while he cooks. About the engines, I've heard that from other towns. Rail control is a slave to time too. If they lost sync, dispatchers might have frozen traffic with heavy steel instead of letting it drift. A stuck engine across a road is ugly, but it beats a runaway train. Next line, blinking from Troy. You're on. Name? This is Brenna. I'm on 8th Street. My mom's on oxygen. We have tanks, but the machine won't run longer than a minute before it shuts off and beeps. I read the manual. It says it can't get a clean time signal for its logs. Is there a way to trick it? I don't care if it logs. I just need it to run. Brenna, put the machine on a power strip and cycle it hard. Some of the devices do a self-check against a clock at power-up. If it fails, sometimes a second start will skip the call-out. If you have a battery backup, it can smooth the blip when the grid stutters. If you don't, ask a neighbor if they have a UPS under a desk. People forget those. For everyone listening, if you have a battery backup that beeps every 5 minutes, that's the UPS. It's not the fire alarm. Share it with someone who has a medical device. I can't promise this will hold, Brenna. If it doesn't, call the firehouse. I know they're thin, but they still respond for oxygen. They told me they would. Hang in. If the line breaks, I'll say your name again, so you know I'm still here. Silence from the top. My board is picking up a whine, the kind we get when the generator wants to give up. I'm going to tilt the mic back just a bit while I nudge the choke with my foot. You'll hear a hitch. Stay with me. I'm still here. Okay. That's better. If I drop, count to 60 before you judge me gone. I've learned to restart fast. Where was I? The insiders want me to tell you that this isn't a bad actor with a gun. It's worse and less dramatic. It's drift. It's a whisper that tells the day that it is the night and the night that it is noon. Some people say it's a solar thing, but the instruments don't show the burst we'd expect. Some say it's a firmware rollout that went wrong, but I haven't seen the memos. Some say it's something we trained that decided a new value for true. That last one scares the hair on my arms, but I'm not putting it on the air as a fact. I said it, and now I hate that I said it. If anyone with a badge wants to put a name on the record, I'll read it as you write it. Martial law. I don't know what you call it when the lights are out and you hit a roadblock manned by kids in National Guard uniforms who look like they were just at a high school football game a month ago. They're at the bridge over the Hudson on 787. They're at the tunnels in the city. They're not mean by default. They're tired. They have orders to keep movement close to home and energy pointed at hospitals and water. That means they will wave you off the highway with the flat of a hand and the muzzle of a rifle held low. It means they will tell you no, even if you ask nice. It means there will be one guy in the group who wants to be a hero, and he will make a mistake if you push him. Please, don't push him. If you have to move, take the back roads. Be ready to show that you live where you say you live. A water bill still means something when the system is upside down. Media blackout. I can still pull FM stations from out of town when the skip is good. Last night after 2, I bounced off the ionosphere and grabbed a voice from Philadelphia on 1060 AM. He was calm. He said they were keeping a studio lit with bicycle generators and a stack of car batteries. He shared a list of safe clinics that still had blood on ice. If you're out that way, look for the red brick church near Broad and Tasker. He said you could see candlelight in the windows from a block away. I copied the address. I know it by heart now. In Boston, someone is playing old music and reading names in between songs. The names are not dead, the host says. They are people who walked in safe and wrote their names down so someone far away might sleep tonight. In Montreal, a French voice tried to break in during the early morning. I don't have the language, but I understood the part where he said enfance, and something in me went cold. I want to be honest about me. I'm tired. I have not slept more than a handful of hours at a time. When I do, I dream the orange wire light. I get cranky, then I feel shame. Then I try again. There are moments of hope. Yesterday, a guy in a pickup drove behind the station and dropped 3 red gas cans over the fence with a note that said, "For the sound." I don't know who you are, but I owe you. I lined them up like a little squad of friends and wrote the times on their sides when I emptied them, like a dad marking his kid's height on a door frame. Small things keep my hands steady. I keep the desk clean because I can. I stack the notebooks because I can. When we get a happy call, I write H in the margin. There are 3 H's today. I want more. Let me give you one of the H calls. It came late last night from a man named Luis on the south side. He and his neighbors rigged a line of solar garden lights along the hall in their building so the older folks could find the bathroom in the dark without falling. He said it looked like a runway. He laughed. I heard kids playing cards on the floor down the hall. He told me he put a bowl of water near the lights to reflect more brightness into the corridor, and I could hear the pride in his voice. If you have those little yard lights, pull them in during the day and lay them by a window. At night, they are small stars that help more than you think. Another call, short, from a woman named Shauna in Kingston. She said a man came to the door and asked for water. She gave him a bottle. He asked if he could charge his phone from the car. She said yes. Then he tried to step inside. She put her hand up and said, "No." He left. She locked the door and sat in a chair by the window with a baseball bat. Nothing happened, and she felt silly and then proud that she set the line clear. You don't have to be mean. You do have to keep your ground. I need to talk about hospitals again. Albany Med is still running. St. Peter's is still running. They are on rationed fuel. They have their own tanks, but deliveries are spotty. If you are listening, and you drive a tanker, call your dispatcher on whatever line still rings. If your rig starts, and you know how to run a route without a tag scanner, go do it. If you want a hero story, there it is. Take a load of diesel to a hospital. They will take care of you. If you need a place to sleep, back up to the dock and lay down on your cot. The nurses will bring you coffee. It will be weak, but it will be hot. I have seen truckers in the ER lot since Sunday, sleeping in their cabs with the window cracked. I want them to know we see them. There are rumors about the river. People keep saying the water tastes odd. I have no way to test it. If you can boil it, boil it. If you have a filter, use it. If you don't, pour it through a clean t-shirt and let it sit. Let the heavy stuff fall to the bottom. It's not perfect, but it's better than raw. If you have chlorine drops, don't guess. Read the package, even if it's hard to see. A heavy hand will make you sick. A light hand will make you sick. Follow the numbers. If you don't know, ask a neighbor who hikes. There's always one. I'm hearing from people about guns on roofs. I don't want to make it bigger than it is. Most houses do not have a man on a roof with a rifle. The ones that do are loud in the mind. If you see one, step out of sight and go around. Don't film it. There's no upload. Don't yell. If they yell, let them be the one yelling. People who are loud like to hear themselves. They burn out faster. If someone points a weapon from a window at a line for water, leave. I know that's hard to hear. Leave. There will be other water. There is not another you. For those who want to move, I'm going to read a short list of open shelters that were confirmed as of 2 hours ago. Confirmation is a strong word right now. These are as real as anything. The YWCA on Washington Avenue is open and serving oatmeal by the cup while supplies last. Masks are not required. Do what you need to do for your health. The small church on 2nd and Judson in Schenectady has a pot of soup on a camp stove. The librarian there, Mr. Patel, has been reading aloud to kids at noon and 6 to keep a routine. If you have a book, bring it. If you can read, offer. The old armory in Troy is closed. Don't go. There are men there with a plan that is not your plan. Time check before the board flips. We are at first light. On the far horizon over the river, a thin cut of orange is starting to spread. The honest kind, not the wire kind. If you can step outside, do it now and just breathe. The air smells a little like old rain and dust from the strip mall roof 2 blocks down. If you're in a high-rise, open a window a crack and listen. You may hear nothing. That nothing is a sound of its own. It can make your hands shake. It's okay to be scared. I'm scared. I'm going to stay with you anyway. This next part is going to be harder. Social order. It's a fancy phrase for the thing we do when we agree on what morning looks like. Right now, morning looks like people making lists with pencils and pinning them to doors. It looks like doctors in hoodies, hair pulled back, writing triage on cardboard. It looks like cops turning off their dash cams to save their batteries and then standing in the street with their palms up, asking for calm. It looks like kids carrying pails upstairs. It looks like quiet fights between neighbors about a generator that hums at night. It looks like a boy on a bike doing circles in front of an apartment because it's the only thing that feels the same as last week. It looks like a woman in a business suit at a corner trying to get a signal and then slowly lowering her phone when she realizes she's holding a small black brick to the sky. Media blackouts come in 2 kinds. The first is when nobody can say anything. The second is when everyone can say anything, and none of it moves. We have a mix. If you hear a strong voice on your radio that tells you there is a bus at noon that will take you to safety, ask your neighbor if they heard it too. Ask them what the address was. If the details don't match, it's a ghost. Don't chase ghosts today. Chase water. Chase calories. Chase shade when the midday comes, because it still gets warm even when the power is gone. If you are in a city, shade is as important as bread. Insider theory number 4. Because I can't keep it inside my head anymore. A man I will call Jay, who worked for a company that provides timing for banks and exchanges, told me he saw an update request from a source he did not recognize, from a block of addresses that should not speak to his equipment. He yanked the plug. He said 5 other peers did not yank in time. His words were, "It walked past them like an old friend. He thinks the fix is not a fix you and I can do with our hands. He thinks it needs a big switch and a long prayer. He says we might be in the dark for longer than the people on the podiums will ever admit. He says if we get loud about it, the room will burn." He said, "Tell people to plant patience. Tell them to make a routine, Jay." If you're listening, I said it. If anyone with reach heard it, put it in the next handbill you print on that school copier you found in the basement. I have to talk about getting news when there is no news. The oldest way is the best way. Stand in the hall and talk to your neighbor. Put a chalk mark on your door at noon and at dusk, so your floor captain knows you're okay. If you have a hallway whiteboard, draw 2 columns, have and need. If you have more paper than you need, write paper in the have. If you need baby formula, Right baby. If you are good at fixing bikes, right fix. I know this sounds small. It is the only thing I know that works when big things are broken. When the Titanic hit, the radio spark operators kept tapping until their batteries burned out. They said, "We are here." That is all this is. We are here. I'm going to give you another voice. Line from Saratoga Springs. You're on. Name if you want it. Name's Colin. I work maintenance at a hotel. Our backup panel won't stay stable, but we found that if we shut off every room and only run the stairwell lights and one elevator, it holds. We've got about 40 people sleeping in the lobby. We're feeding them from the breakfast bar. The milk is going fast. If anyone in Saratoga has powdered milk, drop it at the side door by the dumpsters. We don't care if it's old. We'll check it. Also, a note for anyone trying to keep food cold. We put ice in 2 laundry carts and rolled them into the walk-in. It keeps the cold in better than opening the big door. Colin, that's gold. If you're near him and you have powdered milk or oats, do it. If you don't, tear a note from a notebook and write, "Looking for powdered milk," and tape it to a stop sign. People laugh at that until it works. Time across the board is still weird. My rack clock says 6:09 now, and the wall clock says 5:57. I set the wall clock by the sun. The rack clock is tied to a dying network time server in a room that smells like old coffee and hot plastic. Trust the wall clock. Trust your eyes. If you need to be somewhere, leave early. If you need to meet someone, promise a window, not a minute. Say, "I'll be there between 9 and noon." Then wait the full window. If they don't come, leave a note. I came, and the time. I want to talk about the first fights I saw. They were quiet fights, the kind you almost miss. A man and a woman at a gas station both holding the same nozzle with both hands, not letting go. A teenager standing in front of a grocery store door saying, "We're closed," to an old woman with a cart who kept saying, "But I need it." A police officer telling a street vendor not to light his grill on the sidewalk because he'd get a ticket, and the vendor staring at him like the word "ticket" was from a dead language. Then bigger fights. A shout in the pharmacy. A shove at the water truck. The pattern is simple. First we ask, then we push, then we take. If you can keep us at ask for 1 more hour, you are doing more than any speech. Insiders from the military have told me 2 things that matter. 1. Don't aim flashlights at checkpoints. The beam looks like a sight line through a rifle scope to a jumpy guard. Keep your light low, pointed at the ground. 2. If you are in a car and you turn off your engine at a checkpoint, it can sometimes calm the mood. It says, "I'm staying." Engines put heat in the air. Heat makes people feel like everything is still in motion. A still car is a calm message. Not always, but often. You can try it. I know this is long. It has to be. I promise to stay while the fuel holds. I'm going to take a sip of water from a paper cup. My hands shake when I reach for it, and I'm going to leave that in the air so you know you are not the only one. If you need to cry, do it. If you need to scream into a pillow, do it. Then wash your face with a small cup of clean water and come back. There's a message I keep getting from downstate that I don't understand, but it repeats enough that I have to say it. People in parts of Queens say the streetlights are stuck on bright at noon and dead at midnight. You might think that's normal if you're not there. It's not. The city runs those on schedules. The schedules broke in a way that made the day brighter and the night darker. If you live in a place like that, tape blackout paper to your windows at night, or wear a mask over your eyes so your brain can rest. In the day, be ready for sudden darkened stairwells that were supposed to stay lit. People fall in those. We have enough broken bones to fix. I want to put this on the air in case someone is listening with the ability to push buttons in a big room. Open the API for power status and make it simple. Make it plain text. List the substations that are live and the ones that are dead. Update it every hour, even if the numbers don't change. People can build their own maps from that. We don't need graphs. We need a list that doesn't lie. If you can't do it because the system is wrong, write it on paper and hand it to a runner, and have the runner hand it to the city desks with still working printers. Print it and tape it to poles. The old ways still work. Writing is a radio you can hold. An old friend asked me on day 2 why I keep saying the date. He said it scares people to hear the clock. I said it helps me not lose the thread. So here it is again. Wednesday, October 1st. Morning. The light is up now. Shadows are sharp. A dog is barking in the alley. Across the street, a man in a red jacket is hauling a bucket from his car. He's moving slow. He stops to breathe, then he moves again. If he looks toward the window, I will wave. The lines are quiet for a moment. That's rare. It usually means power dipped somewhere and phones blinked out, or it means people are listening hard and holding their breath. I'll fill the space with one last story for this stretch. A woman named Evelyn called during the first night. She's in her 70s, lives alone in a walk-up off Henry Johnson. She said the smoke alarm in her hall started chirping every 30 seconds, and she couldn't reach it with a chair. She said the chirp made her heart jump every time. She said she put pots and pans over her head and still heard it. I told her to find the broom and hit the reset. She did. It kept chirping. I told her to pull the battery and it would still chirp because the circuit holds a charge for a while. I told her to take a deep breath and wait 2 minutes. I stayed on the line. We listened to the chirp together. After a minute and a half, it stopped. She laughed and then cried. She said the silence was louder than the chirp. Then she thanked me like I was a doctor who had taken out a bullet. I'm not a doctor. I'm a voice in a small room. But we took out a bullet that night. We're going to ride the top of the hour with a list of simple checks. Water, fuel, food, light, heat, meds, contacts. Write the names of 3 people you will check on. 1 nearby, 1 across town, 1 you can only reach by radio or a note on a door. Check on the nearby now. Put a note in your pocket for the across town and save it for daylight. For the far one, say their name out loud. It helps. I didn't believe that until this week. If you need to find me again, sweep the AM band between 520 and 560 and listen for a voice that sounds tired but trying. If you're on the weather band, I come in strongest at 162.475 when the wind is right over the river. I will announce the station call letters when my throat can take it. They matter less than the fact that we are here. My name is Owen Reddick. I'm in Albany. I'll be back in a few minutes with more. If the lights drop and you hear the dead air stretch, count to 60, then 90, then 120. If I'm not back by then, I'm at the generator pulling the cord again, breathing the exhaust, seeing stars, and then running back to this chair. Hold on. If you can, hold on. I'm not leaving the mic. When you're ready for more, say the word in your head, and I'll keep talking. It's 7:02 a.m. now, or close enough, and the light outside has that hard edge to it you get after a cold night. The generator coughed once during the break and settled. I stacked 3 notes on top of each other so I don't lose the thread. Water, movement, and word from the west. If you're new to this signal, I'm Owen in Albany, still riding the low end of the dial and the weather band spillover. If you can hear me, then the lines between us are not broken yet. If you lose me, drift slow. I circle back. I want to start with the first thing you'll need when the day warms: water. I walked to the tap in the tiny station kitchen and turned it. It sputtered, then gave me a tired stream that filled a cup in a count of 20. If your building is tall, you may not get that. Gravity and dead pumps don't mix. If you're in a house and your pressure is thin, draw now and store it in anything with a lid. People keep forgetting about toilets until it's too late. Fill a bucket for that and mark it with tape so no one drinks from it. If you have a neighbor with a rain barrel, check it together. Don't lift it alone. It will tear your back. If the barrel looks green on top, that's a film you can skim with a ladle and a paper towel. Boil what you plan to drink. If you don't have fuel to boil, pour the clearest water you can find into clear bottles and lay them on their sides on a sunny windowsill for as long as the sun gives you. 5-6 hours. It's not magic, but the light helps. People used to do it before there were brand names for everything. Movement. I walked a block during the last power dip and watched the faces. People don't look at each other long today, but they look at hands. It's a small tell. Hands say a lot. If you carry a bag, carry it low and quiet. If you have a cart, tie a cloth over the clatter points so the wheels don't announce you 3 blocks ahead. Cut through the alleys you know, not the ones you don't. If you don't know an alley, the first time is not the day to learn it. If you're on a bicycle, take the lane like a car, only if the street is empty. People's nerves are bare and bumpers are short. Helmets matter more when hospitals are running on fumes. Word from the west came in on the ham repeater with a voice I recognized. Old friend, steady breath, the kind you can picture leaning on a fence. He said, "Syracuse lost 2 substation ties. Not out, just thin. Water's okay for now." Wegmans opened a door at sunrise and handed out mixed boxes. No picking, 1 per family. People said thank you. A man played a guitar. I wrote that last part down. The guitar. If you have a thing that makes sound that isn't a siren, use it in the afternoon. The mind needs notes to hang on. Calls are blinking. I'm taking the first 1 sight unseen. You're live. Name and place if you can. Name's Terrence. Hudson Falls. I'm a lineman. Retired last year, but the crew chief called back anyone who could still climb. We've got a weird one. Lines are up, but the protection relays kick off at random, like they're hearing a fault that isn't there. We bypassed one where it was safe, and the lights held for a block. We can't do that everywhere. We need someone to push the right config from upstream, and upstream is asleep. Terrence, thank you. For anyone who doesn't speak his language, imagine a guard dog that barks at leaves and scares the mailman every time. You can pull him inside for a minute, but if you leave the door open, he'll be back on the porch barking at shadows. That's what those relays are doing, barking at leaves. If you're in Hudson Falls and happen to have spare work gloves or strong coffee and you see men in hard hats at a truck, bring it to them and then step away. Let them do the math. Terrence, if you can, leave a chalk X on the sidewalk under any pole your crew has checked. It'll save wasted steps for the next team. Second line, go ahead. This is Isla Queensbury. My husband has a pacemaker. He's okay, but the clinic that checks the settings is dark. We were supposed to be there yesterday. Is he in danger without the check? Isla, I'm not a doctor, but the nurse who called me from the clinic 2 days ago said the word monitoring more than adjusting. Most pacemakers keep doing their job if you miss a check. The check lets them make small tweaks and pull logs. That means you likely have time. Keep him warm, keep him hydrated, and lighten his load. No heavy lifting, no climbing ladders. If he feels a flutter or a skip that scares him, sit him down and breathe with him for 1 minute. If he's on meds, keep the schedule. Tape the times to the wall, and if anyone near Queensberry hears this and knows a cardiac nurse with a stethoscope, knock on Isla's door with your ears in your calm. I've got a short list of places where calm people are gathering, and I mean calm in the good way, not the dead-eyed way. In Albany, the senior center on New Scotland has a folding table outside with a marker board. They're posting offers and needs. A woman named Kendra is running it like a ship. In Troy, someone chalked a map on the side of a laundromat showing which blocks still have water. In Schenectady, the library front steps at noon have become a little town square. People line up not to get things, but to trade sentences. If you need to hear other people breathing and you can walk without risk, go there and stand at the edge, listen, and then say 2 sentences of your own. Insiders, I haven't forgotten you. I said I hate theories, but we can't live in a blank space. I'm going to read parts of 3 messages without names. 1. We see satellites holding course but broadcasting time with jitter. Could be upstream poisoning. Could be a ground-side echo. Either way, downstream devices that expect clean ticks are choking. 2. Bank backend rolled to a backup site that wasn't air-gapped like they bragged. The switch over script pulled bad time for 30 seconds. And now, nothing trusts anything. 3. Certain industrial controls refuse to start if they can't log clean start times. The logging system itself is offline. It's like a car that won't turn over because the odometer is tired. If you're not in that world, don't let the details run you over. The shape is this. Lots of things we built look at a clock before they let the switch close. The clock is coughing, so the switch stays open. That's why you're in the dark, even when nothing burned. I'm going to read a small story for balance. A boy named Damien, 8 years old, in Colony, wrote me a note on a page torn from a spelling workbook. He drew a picture of a flashlight and wrote, "We made lanterns with jars and little lights from Christmas." His mother added, "He's very proud. He made one for each neighbor on our floor. We are going to need that for a while. Small things that make dark rooms less cruel. Movement update on the roads. The throughway is a mess in clumps. Clear in long stretches, then a wall of stalled cars where an exit ramp curves and people thought it would be safe to wait. Don't try to slip past on the shoulder. There's broken glass, and toe straps hang off bumpers like loose shoelaces. If you must get to another city, take Route 9 and then drift to side roads when it feels tight. If you see a guardrail with fresh scrapes, slow down. It means someone else misread the turn. If there's spray paint on the guardrail that says, "No outlet," believe it. That was someone who learned the hard way and still had paint. Call from downstate, blinking like a pulse. You're on. Ruben, South Bronx. We've got a block party that isn't a party at 149th and Morris. Grills on the sidewalk, yes, but it's all bring a thing, eat a thing. Fire hydrant is open slow with a wrench. The aunties run the line. A guy tried to jump the line, and 5 grandmas shamed him back to the end. The bodega is doing a book. Write your name. Write what you take. Bring something back later when you can. The owner said he trusts the book more than cash right now. Ruben, bless those grandmas. That's a model. A book works because a name still means something. If you're running a store anywhere and you're scared of opening the door, try the book. put it on the counter. Look people in the eye. Write down the name yourself if your hand is steadier than theirs. A list is a kind of fence that people can agree on. There's a rumor out of Boston that the big hospital in the Longwood area pulled one of those field hospital tents from storage and set it up in a parking garage to keep it out of the wind and hold the heat. If anyone there hears me, that's smart. If you're in a place with a big empty indoor space, a school gym, a church hall, think garage before field if the weather is mean. Walls remember warmth better than canvas. I need to say this because I got 2 messages with the same mistake. If you're using a car to charge phones, don't run the engine with the garage door closed. Don't run it with the garage door halfway closed. Don't run it with the garage door open if your neighbor's garage is 2 feet away and their window is low. Pull the car to the curb or the driveway, nose to the street, and sit with the door cracked. Carbon monoxide doesn't care that you're smart. It's rude like that. If you feel sleepy in a way that feels like someone put a blanket over your head, get out, stand up, breathe cold air, and don't go back in. I promise despair and hope in equal measure. Here is a hard one. A man named Vic called from Utica last night, voice like gravel, said his brother on dialysis missed an appointment because the clinic's generators threw errors and the staff had to triage. He said, "I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at time." He asked if there was a workaround. I told him the truth I had, the truth I still have, that some clinics are open with hand-cranked backup pumps, some are not, and the only thing I can do is read the list when I get it. He went quiet. Then he said, "I'll sit with him. I'll tell him jokes from when we were little," and then he hung up. I shut my mouth for a while after that. Sometimes the only answer is a chair beside a bed. Small practicals before the next caller. If you have a fire escape, check the bolts you can reach with a wrench. Old buildings hold surprises. If you smell gas, don't turn on lights. Walk out and knock on doors and say the word gas, plain. If someone you know has a CPAP machine and is sleepless because it won't run, suggest a foam wedge of pillows to keep their airway open tonight. It's not the same. It's better than nothing. Tape a note near your eye level with the words, "Breathe slow," for when the panic comes. Panic loves mornings after bad nights. Line from Rochester. Go. Chelsea here. We've got the radio club in the basement of the school running a net at the top of the hour. We're logging who is safe block by block. If anyone in 14,607 needs meds, we're making a run on foot at noon with bright vests and 2 wagons. We have a pharmacist with us. Don't shout your meds over the air. Write them down and leave them in a sealed envelope with your address and a phone number if your phone can still ring. Chelsea, that's the way. If you're in any city and you have 3 people and 2 wagons, you can run the same play. Bright vests matter. People with nerves see a vest and think task, not threat. Call it a walk, not a patrol. Words carry weight right now. I'm hearing from people who say the night feels longer. That's not your mind playing tricks. Without light, the hours stretch in ways that hurt. Make a night plan in the day. Who sits first? Who sleeps first? When you swap, what story you tell the kid at midnight when he wakes and cries. Pick the story now. Don't pick the story at midnight. Keep the story short, with 3 beats and 1 happy ending. Even if the happy ending is, we saw the sun again. A child will hold that ending like a coin. Time check by the window. The sun is clean and high enough to hit the top of the church on the hill. On the sidewalk, a woman with a stroller is talking to a man with a dog. They're standing 3 feet apart like they're still obeying rules from 2 years ago, and then they both step closer at the same time, like the rule expired overnight. The dog sits. The stroller squeaks. It's the kind of sound that would normally make you rub oil on a hinge. Today it's proof that the wheel still turns. Another insider note. This one scratched on the back of a shipping label from a friend in a network operations center in New Jersey. We can't trust any clock that's touched public time. We're falling back to rubidium bricks and hand-setting drift, like it's 1999. Tell anyone running a small data room to disconnect from outside time and set their own by hand to the top of each hour using a single reference. Don't let boxes argue. If that's Greek to you, it's okay. If you know exactly what that means, and you have keys to a room with humming racks, you didn't need me to tell you, but you might need the nudge to do it without waiting for permission. I have to say something hard, and I'm going to keep it straight. If you plan to leave the city for the country because you think the country is kinder, know this. Some small towns are warm, and some are tight-fisted. If you roll in unannounced, low on fuel and high on need, you will meet both kinds. If you have a cousin there, call ahead from a hill where your phone still finds a whisper of signal. If you don't, bring something you can offer that isn't just hunger. Bring a skill, or a tool, or a willingness to haul water for a morning. People measure strangers the way they always have, by what they carry and how they use it. I keep a page in my notebook for names, and I run my finger down it when the board is quiet. Adrian from Crane Street, Brenna on 8th, Luis with the runway of garden lights, Evelyn with the chirp, Terrence on the pole, Isla with the clock in her husband's chest, Reuben with the book in the bodega, Chelsea with the wagons. I say them out loud to keep the edges of the day from fraying. Say your own list. It helps. Before I take the next call, 2 fast items that keep coming up. First, cash. People ask if cash is worth anything. It's worth what the person in front of you says it is. Some stores will take it because they know paper still buys future inventory when the trucks move again. Some will take names in a book because the book buys trust. Don't flash a roll. Fold 3 bills flat and keep the rest inside your sock in a baggie. Second, pets. A lot of shelters are saying no animals. That's not a moral judgment, it's a logistics one. If you run a shelter and you can spare 1 corner for animals with a volunteer, do it. If you can't, don't lie. People will try to sneak pets in their coats. Don't turn that into a fight at the door. Point them to the volunteer corner or to a church basement that said yes. Okay, 1 more line before I read the noon and 2 plan. Caller from Hartford just lit up. You're on. Name's Ahmed. I drive a box truck, not mine. Boss said, take it and run routes we know by paper. We hit little clinics with boxes of gloves, saline, gauze, no drugs. Those are locked. We leave paper receipts with stamps because the scanners are dead. People cry over gauze now. I used to stack this stuff and not think about it. I think about it now. If any drivers hear me, don't hug the highway. Cut through on the roads behind the shopping centers. Check the backs of pharmacies for a doorbell. Someone will answer. Bring a dolly. Your back will thank you. Ahmed, bless you and your dolly. If you were looking for a way to help today and you have wheels of any kind and a friend to ride shotgun and watch your blind side, copy Ahmed's route pattern. Small clinics, back doors, paper stamps. Leave your name in the book. It will come back to you. I'm going to set the plan I promised. I'll keep running cycles at the quarter hours with 3 beats each time. Where to find water, where to find safe rooms, and where not to go. If you want to write it down, put 3 boxes on your page and leave space to fill them as I read updates. At noon, I'll read hospital fuel status as best I have it, At 2, I'll do a focused run on food spots where people are sharing with a system, not a mob. At 4, I'll take calls for missing persons with last known intersections and leave a clean list that other stations can read without me. If you run a station in another city and you want to copy this format, you don't need to ask. Take it. Say the times out loud. People remember the shape even when they miss the words. I'll end this stretch with a small piece of myself because I promised to keep it human. I brushed my teeth this morning with water in a cup and it felt like church. I found a clean t-shirt in my locker and put it on slow like I was putting on skin. Someone taped a drawing of a sun to the break room fridge last week. The power killed the milk, but the drawing stayed, and I look at it every time I pass like it's a real window. If you have a kid drawing on your fridge, don't take it down. If you don't have one, draw your own. Stick figures count. A rectangle with rays counts. We are not made to live on grit alone. We need paper suns. This is Owen in Albany. I'll stay on this frequency and keep the wheel turning. If you can't find me, listen for a tired voice that still tries. If you can find me, I'll hand you the next knot in the rope in a few minutes. Drink some water if you have it. Put on socks, even if you think you won't need them. Check your list of 3 names, and if you walk to your door right now and open it, breathe the air and say your own name out loud so the room knows you're still here. When you're ready, say the word, and I'll talk again. It's 8:17 a.m. now, though the wall clock says 8:03 and the rack timer says 8:31. None of them agree, so I trust the light outside, bright, sharp, cutting through the studio blinds like a blade. The chill hasn't left the air, and the concrete holds it like an icebox. My name's Owen Reddick, still on the board in Albany, still running on gas cans lined up like sentries behind the station door. If you've been tuning in since first light, you know the rhythm by now. If you're new, this isn't news in the old way. It's one man holding the thread while the room around us frays. The streets are changing tone. I walked down Hudson Avenue before I came back to the mic. Yesterday, there were clusters. People trading food, kids chalking hopscotch lines. This morning, it was thinner. People walk with their heads low and their eyes on the pavement, as if eye contact costs too much. On the corner, I saw a man drag a chair into the middle of the street and just sit with a cardboard sign that said, "Charge here bike," with an old exercise bike bolted to a car battery. Every 10 minutes, he let someone climb on and pedal, while another plugged a phone into a tangle of wires. He wasn't asking money. He was asking canned goods. The basket at his feet had beans, peaches, and 2 jars of peanut butter. That's the shape of the new market. Pedal for charge, pay in food. I heard whispers about the hospitals again. Samaritan in Troy almost black last night until someone rolled in a tanker that wasn't marked on any manifest. A truck with no company logo, just "Keep Back," spray painted on the rear doors. They said the driver didn't stay, dropped the load, handed over a paper with 3 lines of scribble, and was gone before anyone could ask a name. People are calling him a ghost driver. Whether he was sent or just took the risk, I don't know. What I do know is that Samaritan kept its lights, and a child on a ventilator took another breath. If you're that driver, and by some mercy you hear this, you bought time for lives you'll never meet. Phones are still gasping. A man named Daryl left a message on the station machine while I was off air. He said he was in Poughkeepsie, said his daughter was diabetic, and they were down to their last pen. He tried to drive south but got turned around at a checkpoint. He said the guards told him to wait for next convoy, but no one said when or where. He was crying when he left his number. The machine cut him off halfway. If you're in Poughkeepsie and you have insulin to spare, look for a white pickup with a blue cooler strapped to the roof. That's Daryl. I can't do more from here but speak his name into the static. Insiders keep sending scraps. One text on a dying satellite phone last night. Clocks can be poisoned from above. Someone pushed bad values from a source they shouldn't own. I don't know if it's sabotage or a runaway system, but I know this. Our world is built on time. Banks, pumps, hospitals, traffic signals, all of it checks the tick. When the tick lies, the hands fold. I've said this before, but I'll keep saying it until it sinks. The lights didn't fail because a wire burned. They failed because the world lost track of the beat. Voices now. I've got a blinking line from Gloversville. You're on. This is Pete. We've got a factory floor full of sewing machines. Power's dead, but we rigged 2 treadle tables from the museum into working order. We're making masks and bags by foot. We trade them for food. If anyone in town needs cloth work done, we can do it without juice. Just knock on the red door near the water tower. Pete, you and your treadles are worth more than gold right now. If you're in Gloversville and you have cloth, thread, or old sheets, bring them to the red door. Machines without wires are the future for a while. Another call, shortwave this time, bouncing hard. You're on. Marianne, Buffalo. We're walking water jugs from the lake. It tastes of iron, but it's wet. National Guard closed the grocery lot, said only medical staff allowed. People are cooking in the street with grills. Someone brought a violin. It helps. Marianne, I hear you. To anyone listening in Buffalo, if you're near the lake and can haul jugs, share the load with neighbors. 2 hands on a jug is steadier than 1, and less likely to spill half on the road. And if you have music, strings, horns, even just your own voice, bring it out. A tune in the street holds more than calories. It holds the soul together. I'll pause here before the board cycles again. If you're listening and you can write, jot these down. Pedal for charge, ghost driver, treadle tables, lake water. These are proof that the world isn't just breaking, it's bending. And sometimes bending holds. This is Owen Reddick in Albany. The air is still cold, the sun is sharp, and the signal is alive. If you're breathing, say your name out loud once, then come back to the radio. I'll keep talking until the gas runs out. Say the word when you're ready, and I'll carry on.